My name is Mrs. Smoak, and this is English 1 live lesson for Clay Virtual Academy, Florida Virtual School. We have 3 topics to discuss today: plagiarism, DBAs, and Module 1. The first thing I'm going to go over is plagiarism. When you all submit work, I get a little report that shows me a number of how much of your information you used from the lessons, how much you used from internet sources, and how much you used that was original. What I'd like to see is that bottom number, 0%, Turnitin score. That means that the work you submitted was your original words. You put it in your own words and submitted it. The green numbers are okay sometimes because that usually means that you were quoting from the story, and there's going to be a little bit of a match with those because other people use the same quotes because you all are writing about the same topics. However, when you do use a quote from the article, it should be short and it should be followed by an explanation of why you chose that quote or how that quote relates to your work. And that will put most of your answers in your own words. If you're stuck in the middle of assignments or exams, pick up the phone and call me or text me. If I don't answer, feel free to shoot me an email or just wait a few minutes and I will do my best to answer you immediately and help you while you're in the middle of your exam. So don't turn to the internet to find information if you're stuck. Try to check with me first. Next, I'm going to go over DBAs. DBAs are discussion-based assessments. You have discussion-based assessments in every class, in every module. You are going to call your teacher, and the DBA counts as an exam grade. So when you call the teacher will ask you some questions about the work up to that point, and you should have some notes and information about what you've been studying, and the teacher will have a conversation with you. You have 3 tries for DBAs. So if you forget something or you can't remember a vocab word, that's okay. You can call the teacher again and redo it. Some ways to prepare for DBAs are these. Take notes throughout the semester. Keep track of your lesson pages on your educator lessons section. If you keep track of the pages where information is, you can refer to it pretty quickly when you're on the phone call with the teacher. So note the 1 of 6 in Module 1.03. That's where you would find identity shaped by conflict information. Be familiar with the articles, passages, and techniques you've learned throughout the course. And now I'm going to talk about English 1, Module 1, actual assignments. You have 9 different assignments in Module 1. At this point in your school, you should be about halfway through Module 1, if not a little more, because we are in week 3. If you started at the end of August, like the rest of the Clay County students, you should be in week 3, which means you should have almost half of these assignments done already. I'm going to go over the assignments in detail, but this is an overview snapshot of everything you should have done or should be working on. So 1.01 is choosing your story. You get to pick which story you want to use for Module 1. Whichever story you pick, you're going to be working with throughout the module. This 1.01 assignment is pretty easy because it just asks you to explain what you picked. Put your answer in a full sentence. You can say, I chose condensed milk as my Module 1 short story. That's it. That's your answer to choosing your story. You need to make sure that you use full sentences when you're submitting work that is free response on your gradebook. If you want to read Rules of the Game, that is, in my opinion, one of the easiest reads because it's a story of a little girl telling her life in Chinatown. Condensed Milk is about people in Russia and a gulag, like a prison camp. And Hamadi is in Lebanon. It takes place in the Middle East. So we have a couple different regions covered in these choices, and you can pick whichever one you're most interested in. For assignment 1.02, Discovering Characters, this is a gradebook grade as well. You need to do the character analysis worksheet before you submit your work for a grade. If you complete that worksheet on page 8 of module 1.02, it will set you up very well to quickly answer the questions in the exam. If you can do that worksheet and process your thoughts, it will help you a lot. You have to know the protagonist, the main character, the goals and motivations, the way his character or her character changes, and the cultural background of that character. The next assignment is 1.03. This is the conflict. The conflict analysis worksheet is another questionnaire that helps you prepare for this assignment. You should find it on page 6 of module 1.03. This assignment has a few questions, multiple choice and regular, free response assignments. You're going to do the first question on a different story. It's going to give you something to read and you have to answer. But the next questions relate to the story you picked. And that can be a little confusing because it will ask you questions and you'll want to answer based on the story you read for 1.03. But the rest of the questions on this assignment are actually referring to your article choice, like rules of the game, Hamadi, or condensed milk. 1.04 is the same way. It's got a worksheet to help you prepare for the exam, and it's got questions that are on other stories at the beginning, and then it has 2 questions on your Module 1 short story. So make sure you're differentiating between that when you're in the exam. Again, if you're stuck or you need help, text or call me and I will help you while you're in the middle of your assignment. 1.05 is discovering the theme. Again, there's a questionnaire worksheet to help you prepare for this. It's on the last page of 1.05. The theme is the big picture or the overall message. You need to know what the theme of your story is. And the second part of this module is to understand how the author develops that theme. These are techniques you need to know to pass 1.05. And then 1.06 is your biggest grade so far in Module 1. This is 100 points, and it is the narrative planner. I accidentally left discovering the theme in there, but this one is the narrative planner, and you will be writing out a story from your own life. So the narrative planner is something that you pick. It's a short story, and you need to understand characters, conflict, and plot. There's a narrative planner grading rubric and a planner to help you prepare for this. So you need to write out the answers to those questions. You can click narrative planner and use the techniques you've learned from your short story to help you write it. You're going to write a short story from your life. You're going to use characters. You're going to choose a conflict. You're going to choose a plot. It is similar to an essay, but this narrative planner assignment is kind of just a questionnaire outline. So click narrative planner, copy and paste the questions into your assignment box, and type your answers. That will count for your narrative planner, but you must use full sentences and answer all the questions. After you're done with that big outline assignment, you have your first DBA. That's when you call the teacher. Calling the teacher is a requirement for the DBA. I'm not going to call you. You're responsible for calling me, and it is points on your DBA for you initiating the phone call. On the DBA, you are going to talk about information from 1.01 to 1.06. And you have 3 tries on the DBA. So if you get on the phone call with your teacher and you're really confused, or you forget a vocab word or something, or you can't remember what the protagonist in your story was, that's okay. You can call back and redo it for full points. You have 3 tries on that. So it's low stress. Don't worry about it. You can call back and make another appointment. After the DBA, you have 2 more assignments in Module 1. The next one is author's word choice. In this exam, it's going to ask you to explain how the author uses diction, how the author uses tone, how the author uses mood, how the author uses imagery. You must explain those techniques for this exam. Make sure you understand the definitions of each of those terms and how the author uses them. The last assignment is another big grade. It is 100 points. This is your narrative story that you began planning in 1.06. You're going to come back to that outline you wrote, and this time you're going to put it in paragraph form, like an essay, and you're going to develop it using the information from the rubric. Make sure that you check the rubric for your narrative essay in 1.09. You have to pick the sections from the rubric that you need to cover, like the last one on this screen, semicolon. You're going to get points for if you use this semicolon in your narrative planning. You're going to get points for the techniques you use, the language, the dialogue, all of those things, and they are all spelled out on the rubric. If you follow the points from the rubric, you should get full points. Of course, grammar and spelling needs to be accurate and all of that as well. So I'm going to go over how to keep your writing accurate and educationally appropriate. This is a sentence cemetery. Do not start your sentences with these words or conjunctions. And, also, but, plus, or, because, see, right. There are other words you should not start sentences with, but these are the main offenders. If you're writing in response to an educational assignment, you do not start your sentences with also or but. Even if you're making a counterpoint, those are just not appropriate words to use in academic writing for English class. The next thing you have to avoid is idioms. These are things that we say all the time in normal speech. If you're talking to your friends or hanging out with your family, you might use things like this, and so on and so forth. Let's cut to the chase. The bottom line is, the moral of the story is, the point is, don't beat around the bush. I'm sitting on the fence. All of these things are not appropriate to use in academic writing because it excludes people that don't understand them. You might understand that beating around the bush means not talking about the point, talking about everything else except what you mean. Or sitting on the fence means you're not really sure what you want to do. But in academic writing, other people are not going to understand that. So you need to avoid these, and also colloquialisms. Again, colloquialisms are completely appropriate if you're hanging out and just talking in real life and with people you're comfortable with or you're good friends with. These kind of words like wanna, gonna, y'all, kudos, legit, cray cray, all of that is normal in our speech. But when you're participating in academic writing, you need to avoid these kind of words. That is the end of my presentation for Module 1, English 1 for Clay Virtual Academy. If you have any questions about the assignments or techniques used, please contact me, Mrs. Smoak. If you are watching this recording after the fact, please contact me via text, phone call, or email if you have any questions. And thank you for watching my live lesson.